I'm Bryn Hollingsworth, 56, and I spent 30 years managing a chaotic high school only to find my own home becoming a battleground. My back is a rigid line of protest as I carry the heavy porcelain platter of roasted duck into the dining room. I watch a dark, sticky smudge of Hershey's chocolate bloom across the arm of my white linen sofa. My grandson, Leo, is the culprit. He wipes his messy hand across the fabric with the casual indifference of a child who has never been told no. I feel my pulse thrumming in my temples. I look at my eldest son, Marcus. He's sitting 3 feet away from the sofa, nursing a glass of the $100 Cabernet I bought to celebrate our reunion. He sees the chocolate. He sees me seeing the chocolate. He simply turns his head back to his brothers and laughs at something I didn't hear. The air in the room is thick with the scent of rosemary, expensive wine, and the sour sweat of 9 children who have been running laps around my mahogany coffee table for an hour. My 3 sons, Marcus, David, and Sam, are sprawling in the armchairs like kings in a conquered territory. They haven't asked if I need help. They haven't offered to pour the water. They haven't even looked at the 3-course meal I spent 2 grueling days prepping in a kitchen that now looks like a disaster zone. My knees ache with a dull, throbbing heat from standing for 8 hours straight. I reach for the back of a dining chair, hoping to finally rest my weight, but Sam's wife, Janine, slides into it without a word, her eyes glued to her smartphone. I am a ghost in my own home. I am the invisible engine that makes their lives run smoothly. I watch Marcus lean in close to David. They share a sharp, knowing look, a silent communication that makes the hair on my arms stand up. It's the same look they used to give each other when they were planning to sneak out of the house as teenagers. But this isn't about a party. This is about me. I can feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on me, heavier than the platter in my hands. I am not their mother tonight. I am the path of least resistance. I am the convenience they've all agreed upon. As I set the duck down, my hands tremble slightly. I realize they aren't here for my company. They are here because I am the solution to a problem they haven't told me about yet. The screaming intensifies as the younger kids start a wrestling match on the Persian rug. A glass of apple juice tips over. I watch the golden liquid soak into the wool. Nobody moves. Nobody grabs a paper towel. I am the one who moves. I am always the one who moves. As I scrub the rug on my hands and knees, I hear Marcus's voice drop to a low, conspiratorial murmur. He thinks the noise of the children is masking his words. He thinks I'm too busy being their servant to listen. He is wrong. It's perfect, Marcus whispers to Sam, his eyes flitting toward me and then away. We'll just dump all 9 kids on her for the week. She's retired. It's not like she has a life. We can finally get that couple's trip to Cabo without the baggage. My heart doesn't just skip a beat. It feels like it hits a wall. The cold juice soaks through the knees of my slacks. I stay down. I keep scrubbing. I let the roar of the grandchildren wash over me while the betrayal stings worse than the salt in my dishpan hands. They've already decided. My Christmas, the one I've been meticulously planning for months, was never about family. It was about an exit strategy. I am the dumping ground. I feel a sudden, icy clarity wash through my veins, replacing the exhaustion. If they want to treat my home like a hotel and me like the unpaid staff, they are about to find out that this manager is officially going on strike. But first, I need to hear the rest of their little plan. I need to know exactly how much they think my silence is worth. She won't say no, David adds, his voice smug. She lives for this. Look at her. She loves being the martyr. The word martyr tastes like ash in my mouth. I stand up slowly, my joints popping in the quietest moment of the chaos. I don't look at them. I walk back into the kitchen, my mind already spinning a new web. They want a Christmas they'll never forget. I'm going to give it to them. But it won't be the one they're expecting. I'm Bryn Hollingsworth, 56, and after 30 years as a high school principal, I thought I knew every trick in the book until I heard my own sons plotting against me. I step into the kitchen, the swinging door swishing shut behind me with a soft, padded thud. The air here is cooler, smelling of peppermint and the metallic tang of the industrial-sized sink. I need the peppermint bark. I need to finish this charade of the perfect hostess. I reach for the heavy silver tray sitting on the marble island. The stone is cold under my fingertips, a sharp contrast to the flush of heat in my cheeks. I pause. The voices from the dining room aren't muffled anymore. They are sharp. They are clear. Marcus is speaking, and his tone is one I recognize from every back alley deal I ever broke up in the school cafeteria. It is the sound of a man who thinks he's already won. "It's all set," Marcus says, his voice a low, jagged vibration. "The Royal Loft Suites are locked in. 7 days of bliss." I feel a flicker of hope. A cruise, maybe this is the surprise. Maybe they're taking me away from this mess. I lean my forehead against the cool wood of the door, my heart hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I hold my breath. "What about the logistics?" David asks. The logistics is his code for his 3 toddlers. "The logistics are simple," Marcus replies. I hear the clink of a glass against a ring. "We just dump all 9 kids on her for the week. We tell her on Christmas morning. She won't say no with the kids standing right there." The words hit me like a physical blow to the solar plexus. I feel the air leave my lungs in a silent gasp. I stay frozen, my hand still resting on the silver tray. "She's a retired principal," Marcus continues, and I can practically see the smug grin on his face. "She's practically built for this. It's not like she has a social calendar. And honestly, it saves us at least $5,000 in childcare and boarding fees. It's a win-win." A win-win. My hands begin to vibrate. It starts in my thumbs and spreads to my wrists. $5,000. That is the price of my sanity. That is the value they've placed on my time, my home, and my peace. I am not a person to them. I am a budget line item. I am a line of credit they intend to exhaust. "She looked a little stressed today, though," Sam pipes up, his voice hesitant. "You think she'll bite?" "She always bites," Marcus snaps. "She lives for the Grandma of the Year title." We just play up how tired the wives are, how much we need reconnection time, and she'll be ushering us out the door with a packed lunch. They laugh. It is a collective booming sound that vibrates through the door and into my bones. It feels like a mockery. It feels like a funeral for the woman I used to be, the one who would have actually said yes. The weight of the silver tray suddenly feels unbearable. My grip falters. The edge of the heavy metal clatters against the marble countertop with a sharp, piercing crack. The sound echoes through the kitchen like a gunshot. I freeze. My breath is a thin, shallow whistle in my throat. My vision blurs, the white subway tile of the backsplash turning into a dizzying smear of light. I wait for the door to swing open. I wait for one of them to come in and find me eavesdropping. But the laughter in the other room doesn't stop. They are so loud, so wrapped up in their own greed, that they don't even hear the sound of my heart breaking. I look down at my hands. They are shaking so violently that I have to grip the edge of the island to stay upright. My knuckles are white. I look at the peppermint bark I spent 4 hours tempering to a perfect glass-like snap. I want to smash it. I want to take this tray and hurl it through the dining room window. The heat in my neck turns into an icy, calculated chill. I am a principal. I have managed 1,000 chaotic teenagers. I have handled budgets, crises, and entitled parents for 3 decades. My sons think they are playing a game with an old woman who has nowhere else to go. They've forgotten who taught them how to play. I pull my shoulders back. I force my hands to go still. The shaking doesn't stop, but I channel it. I turn it into a cold, hard knot in my stomach. They want a week of freedom. They want to dump their responsibilities on the martyr. I reach into my pocket and feel the weight of my smartphone. My thumb brushes the screen. I think about my travel agent, Clara. I think about the solo retreat in Tuscany I've been eyeing for 3 years but never booked because I was too worried about the boys. My sons think they've saved $5,000. By the time I'm done with this Christmas, they're going to realize that my childcare services just went up in price, and the cost is going to be their entire vacation. I pick up the tray. My movements are fluid now, practiced. I am no longer the tired mother. I am the woman in charge. I push through the swinging door, a bright, terrifyingly sharp smile fixed on my face. Peppermint bark, anyone? I ask, my voice as smooth as the chocolate on the tray. I watch Marcus look up, his eyes meeting mine. He doesn't see the rage. He doesn't see the plan forming behind my eyes. He just sees the servant returning to her post. Thanks, Mom, he says, reaching for a piece without looking at me. You're the best. I know I am, Marcus, I say, and I mean it. I really, truly am. I'm Bryn Hollingsworth, 56, and I commanded a high school of 1,500 teenagers for 3 decades, only to discover that my own sons think I'm nothing more than an unpaid babysitter. I lean my back against the stainless steel refrigerator. The metal is biting and cold through my thin silk blouse. I don't move, I can't. My skin is turning clammy. A cold sweat breaks out across my hairline as the weight of their words settles into my marrow. My chest feels like someone has placed a leaden block on my sternum. Every breath is a shallow, jagged struggle for oxygen. I stare at the white subway tile of the kitchen backsplash. The grout lines seem to blur and vibrate in my vision. They don't see a woman who earned her rest. They don't see the gray hairs I earned from 30 years of budget meetings and school board battles. To Marcus and David, my retirement isn't a reward for a lifetime of labor. It is a resource to be strip-mined. It is an untapped well of free labor they can exploit until I run dry. They view my freedom as their convenience. My time is no longer mine, it's just a line item in their vacation planning. I can see the scene they've already scripted for me. I see myself in my living room, surrounded by the wreckage of Christmas morning. I see myself scrubbing vomit out of the guest room carpet at 3:00 a.m. I see myself settling the same three-way tantrum for the 50th time while the turkey burns in the oven. I see myself aging 10 years in 7 days. They'll be hundreds of miles away. They'll be sitting on a sun-drenched deck in Cabo. They'll be clinking mojito glasses and laughing about how easy it was to trick me. The thought makes my stomach roll with a sudden, violent nausea. I taste the bitter gall of disappointment at the back of my throat. My pulse thrums in my ears. It is a rhythmic, heavy drumming. It sounds like a war march. Pure, unadulterated fury begins to replace the hollow ache in my ribs. I am a person. I am a mother. I am a woman with a soul and a schedule and dreams of my own. But to my own flesh and blood, I am an appliance. I am a dishwasher they don't have to pay for. I am a live-in daycare center that doesn't require a background check or a salary. I am a convenience. I am a tool. I am a means to an end. I look down at my hands. They are still trembling, but the tremor has changed. It isn't fear anymore. It is the vibration of a machine about to redline. I think about the Grandma of the Year title Marcus mentioned. The irony tastes like copper on my tongue. He thinks he knows me. He thinks my love is a weakness he can manipulate with a few well-placed compliments. He thinks a fake, we need reconnection time speech will be enough to buy my silence. He thinks I am a martyr who will sacrifice her golden years to facilitate his luxury. I push off the refrigerator. My legs feel heavy, like I'm walking through deep water, but my mind is sharpening. The betrayal is a physical pressure, a tightening in my throat that makes me want to scream. Instead, I swallow the scream. I turn it into a plan. They think I'm the path of least resistance. They think I'm the soft place for them to land while I get buried under their responsibilities. They are about to learn that when you treat a principal like a servant, she doesn't just quit. She reorganizes the entire department. I walk toward the sink and splash cold water on my face. The droplets sting. I look at my reflection in the window above the basin. The darkness outside reflects my own face back at me. My eyes look wild. My skin is pale, drained of the warmth I felt only an hour ago. But the fire in my gaze is something I haven't felt since I stood down a rowdy assembly 10 years ago. I am not their resource. I am not their baggage handler. I am Bryn Hollingsworth, and I am officially off the clock. I hear another burst of laughter from the dining room. It's Sam this time, sounding relieved. She'll love it, he says, his voice muffled by the door. She's been so lonely since Dad passed. My jaw locks so hard it aches, lonely. I've been enjoying the silence for the first time in my life. I've been reading books without interruption. I've been drinking my coffee while it's actually hot. I've been rediscovering who I am when I'm not serving someone else. They want to take that from me. They want to fill my silence with screaming toddlers and my peace with their demands. And they want to do it because they think I have nothing better to do. I reach for the handle of the oven, gripping the cool metal. The smell of the roasted duck still hangs in the air, but it smells like a lie now. Every decoration in this house, every garland I hung, every light I strung, it was for them. And they saw it as an invitation to walk all over me. I am nothing more than a convenient appliance to them. Fine, even appliances have a cancel but, and I am about to press mine with everything I've got. The fury is a cold, hard knot in my stomach now. It isn't hot or impulsive. It is calculated. It is the same feeling I had when I had to expel a student for bullying. My sons are the bullies now. They are trying to bully me into a life I didn't choose. They want me to be the grandmother who smiles and nods while they live their best lives. They want me to be the martyr because it makes their lives easier. I feel a strange, icy clarity wash through my veins. The exhaustion that was weighing me down moments ago is gone. It has been replaced by a sharp, lethal focus. I look at the silver tray of peppermint bark. It represents the hours I spent trying to make this Christmas perfect for them. It represents the love I poured into a family that views me as a utility. I pick up a piece and snap it between my fingers. The sound is sharp. It is final. They want a Christmas they'll never forget. I'm going to give it to them. But it won't be the one where I'm holding the diaper bag. It will be the one where I finally put myself first. I am not their dumping ground. I am the storm they didn't see coming. I'm Bryn Hollingsworth, 56, and I spent 30 years commanding a high school of 1,500 teenagers, proving that a sharp suit and a sharper gaze can quell any riot. I stand behind the swinging kitchen door for 3 seconds. I count them. 1, 2, 3. I pull my shoulders back until my spine is a rigid line of steel. I relax my facial muscles, smoothing the lines of fury around my mouth. I practice the parent-teacher conference smile in the darkness of the pantry. It is a mask of perfect, unflappable serenity. It is the mask I used when I had to tell a wealthy donor that his son was being expelled. It is the mask that says I am listening, I am caring, and I am completely under control. I push through the door. The dining room is a cocoon of false warmth. The scent of expensive pine and roasted meat hangs heavy in the air. My three sons are leaning over the mahogany table like conspirators in a war room. They don't see me at first. They are too busy basking in the glow of their own perceived brilliance. I see the way Marcus's eyes shine with the thrill of a successful deal. I see the way David's shoulders have dropped an inch, relieved of the burden of fatherhood. I see Sam nodding, a smug grin playing on his lips. I step into the light of the chandelier. Peppermint bark, everyone? I ask. My voice is a chime. It is light. It is airy. It is the voice of a woman who hasn't a care in the world. Marcus looks up, startled for a heartbeat before his salesman persona snaps into place. Thanks, Mom, he says, reaching for a piece of the chocolate I spent 4 hours tempering. He doesn't taste the effort. He doesn't see the glass-like snap of the bark as a symbol of my breaking point. He just eats. Mom, Marcus says, clearing his throat. He leans forward, resting his elbows on the table. He uses his sincere voice. We were just talking about the holidays, about how much the kids adore being here with you. I feel the bile rise in my throat. I keep the smile fixed. I tilt my head to the side, the picture of an attentive grandmother. They really need some grounding, he continues. Some real quality time with their favorite person. We were wondering, are you up for a little extra grandmother time this holiday season? My heart hammers against my ribs. It is a frantic, violent drumming. I can feel the pulse in my neck throbbing against the collar of my silk blouse. I look at David. I look at Sam. They are watching me like hawks watching a mouse. They think I am the prey. They think they are about to trap me in a week of unpaid labor while they sip margaritas in Cabo. Extra grandmother time, I repeat. I let the words hang in the air. I make them wait. I watch the tiny flicker of anxiety in David's eyes. He's the one who usually cracks first. Oh, Marcus, I say, and I let a soft, breathless laugh escape my lips. I would love nothing more than to have this house full of family for the holidays. The relief in the room is palpable. It's a physical wave of energy. Marcus exhales a long, slow breath. David and Sam exchange a quick, triumphant glance. I see it. I see the "we got away with it" smirk that David tries to hide behind his wine glass. They think they've pulled a fast one on the old lady. They think they've successfully manipulated the woman who once managed a $3 million school budget without breaking a sweat. They see a soft target. I see 3 men who have forgotten who taught them how to play the game. Really? Sam asks, his voice cracking slightly with excitement. You wouldn't mind, we know it's a lot with all 9 of them. A lot, I wave a hand dismissively. The diamonds on my rings catch the light, sparking like ice. It's a blessing, Sam, truly. I move around the table, placing a hand on Marcus's shoulder. I can feel the heat of his skin through his shirt. He feels like victory. I feel like a predator. In fact, I say, my voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Why don't you boys let me handle all the logistics? You're all so busy with work and the wives are so stressed. Let me take the mental load off your hands. I'll coordinate the drop-offs, the sleeping arrangements, the meals, everything. Marcus beams at me. It is the look of a man who thinks he just won the lottery. Mom, you're an angel. We don't deserve you. No, I say, my smile widening until it almost hurts. You really don't. I watch them relax completely now. They start talking about their business retreat again, but the tone has changed. The guilt is gone. The secrecy is gone. They start openly discussing flight times and packing lists. They think the deal is sealed. They think the martyr has signed her contract for the week. My thumb brushes the edge of the smartphone in my pocket. I can feel the cold metal. I think about Clara, my travel agent. I think about the villa in Tuscany with the stone walls and the view of the vineyards. I think about the first-class ticket that costs exactly what Marcus thinks he's saving on childcare. The logistics I'm going to handle aren't for a week of babysitting. The logistics I'm going to handle involve a one-way car service to the airport and a do not disturb sign written in Italian. I stand there, the perfect hostess, watching my sons celebrate their successful deception. I feel a cold, hard knot of satisfaction tightening in my stomach. They want a Christmas they'll never forget. They want a surprise. I'm going to give them exactly what they asked for. But when the front door opens on the 22nd of December, they aren't going to find a doting grandmother with a tray of cookies. They're going to find an empty house and a very expensive bill for my services. I am Bryn Hollingsworth, and the school year is officially over. I'm Bryn Hollingsworth, 56, and I spent 30 years commanding a high school of 1,500 teenagers, proving that a sharp suit and a sharper gaze can quell any riot. The house is unnervingly silent now. The boys have finally retreated to their guest rooms, snoring with the heavy, unearned sleep of men who think they've just delegated their problems away. I stand in the middle of my kitchen, the moonlight reflecting off the polished granite. My hands do not shake. They are steady. They are the hands of a woman who has navigated state audits and parent-teacher brawls without losing her cool. My heart, however, is a different story. It is a drum, beating out a rhythm of tactical precision. I retreat to my study and close the door with a soft, decisive click. I don't turn on the overhead lights. I don't want a single sliver of gold bleeding under the door to alert my sons that their martyr is still awake. I sit at my mahogany desk, the chair creaking slightly under my weight. I open my laptop. The blue light hits my face like a splash of cold water. It stings my tired eyes, but I don't blink. My pupils are dilated with a sudden, intoxicating rush of adrenaline. My fingers hover over the keys for a heartbeat. I think about Marcus's smug face. I think about David's cowardly relief. I think about Sam's assumption that my loneliness is a vacuum they have the right to fill with their chaos. I don't search for family resorts. I don't look for kid-friendly villas or Christmas festivals for toddlers. I type in Swiss Alps. I type in luxury spa. I type in adults only. The results bloom on the screen like a promise of a new life. I find it within minutes. A boutique hotel nestled high above the clouds, surrounded by nothing but ancient pines and the jagged, silver peaks of the mountains. It is 5 stars. It is 5,000 miles away. It is a sanctuary of white linen and silence. I find a suite with a private sauna and a balcony that overlooks the Matterhorn. I click book now. The price is astronomical. It is more than Marcus's monthly mortgage. It is more than the cost of the 9-person catering he expected me to provide. I don't flinch. I use the credit card I kept in my own name, the one I've been quietly funding with my pension, the one they don't even know exists. Click. The confirmation email pings on my phone. The sound is a gunshot in the quiet room. It is the sound of my shackles breaking. Next, I book the flight. I don't look for deals. I don't look for coach. I select a first-class seat on a red-eye, leaving the night before they plan to arrive with their blessings. I choose the seat that offers a fully reclining bed and a privacy screen. I want a pod. I want a cocoon. I want to be invisible to the world for 11 hours while I sip champagne and watch the clouds turn pink over the Atlantic. Every click of the keyboard feels like a small, violent act of rebellion. I am no longer a principal. I am no longer a grandmother. I am no longer a convenient appliance. I am a woman reclaiming her sovereignty from people who took it for granted. I stand up and move to my cedar closet. The scent of wood and lavender is grounding, sharp, and clean. I pull out my largest suitcase, the one I haven't touched since my husband's funeral. It feels heavy, even empty. I open it on the floor and begin the process of unbecoming. I don't pack sensible grandmother sweaters. I don't pack the aprons I usually wear to protect my clothes from flying mashed potatoes. I reach for the floor-length emerald silk gown I bought on a whim 3 years ago and never found an occasion for. I fold it with military precision. I pack my finest cashmere wraps. I pack the Italian leather hiking boots that have been gathering dust in the corner. I pack a lace nightgown that makes me feel like a person instead of a prop. I think of the logistics I promised Marcus. I promised him I would coordinate the drop-offs. I promised I would handle the sleeping arrangements. Oh, I will. I'll leave a very specific set of instructions on the kitchen island. They will include the number for a local kennel, the contact for a high-end nanny service that charges $300 an hour, and a list of local hotels that are currently fully booked. I tuck the suitcase into the very back of the closet, hidden behind a row of heavy winter coats I will no longer need. I zip it shut. The sound of the zipper is a low, satisfying growl in the dark. I look at my reflection in the full-length mirror. The blue light from the study still clings to my skin. My eyes look different. The parent-teacher mask has fallen away, and underneath it is something sharper, something lethal. The martyr is dead. I have spent my life serving others, managing their crises and absorbing their demands. I have been the cushion for their falls and the engine for their successes. Not this year. They want a Christmas they'll never forget. They want a surprise that will change their lives. I am going to give it to them. But when they pull their SUVs into my driveway on the 22nd of December, they won't find a doting grandmother with a tray of cookies and a willing heart. They'll find a locked door and a woman who has finally learned how to say no from the top of a mountain. I am Bryn Hollingsworth, and the school year is officially over. I'm Bryn Hollingsworth, 56, and I spent 3 decades balancing the chaotic books of a multi-million-dollar school district while never letting a single person see me sweat. The silence in my house over the next 3 days is not peaceful. It is tactical. My sons have returned to their own homes to pack, thinking they have successfully tricked their dear old mother into a week of unpaid labor. They think I am currently elbow-deep in flour, prepping batches of cookie dough and roasting turkeys. I am not. I stand in my kitchen holding a stack of heavy cream-colored cardstock. I don't reach for my recipe box, I reach for my memory. I sit at the marble island and uncaps my favorite fountain pen. The ink is a deep, unforgiving black. I begin to write the instructions. I don't write about where the extra towels are kept. I don't write about the settings for the dishwasher. I write a ledger of 20 years of invisible labor. My hand is steady. The nib of the pen scratches against the paper like a tiny, sharpened tooth. December 2008, I write. I spent 4 hours scrubbing red wine out of the rug while you 3 slept off your hangovers. I flip the page. Christmas 2015. I missed the entire gift exchange because I was in the kitchen hand washing 32 plates of food you didn't help cook. Every year, the assumption that my time has no value because I am retired and lonely. I spend hours on these lists. They aren't just notes, they are an audit of a life spent in service to people who forgot to say thank you. I laminate them. I want the ink to be protected. I want my words to survive the inevitable explosion of their arrival. Next, I address the grocery list. Marcus sent me a text with 42 specific items: organic blueberries, a specific brand of artisanal coffee, 3 cases of expensive craft beer. I go to the store, but I don't push a cart. I walk past the produce. I ignore the butcher. I don't buy a single gallon of milk or a loaf of bread. I walk straight to the liquor aisle. I pick up a bottle of Bollinger champagne, the most expensive one they have. When I get home, I open the refrigerator. It is a cavernous, gleaming void. I remove the half-empty carton of juice and the leftovers from my lunch. I wipe down the glass shelves until they sparkle. I place the bottle of champagne exactly in the center of the middle shelf. Next to it, I place a single glass jar of dill pickles. It looks like a crime scene. It looks like a joke. I close the door. The seal makes a soft, final thwump. I move to the guest rooms. These are the rooms where 9 children are supposed to sleep. These are the rooms where my sons expect to find Nana's magic. They expect fresh linens with high thread counts. They expect pillows fluffed to perfection and little chocolates on the nightstands. I strip the beds. I pull the sheets off with a violent, satisfying snap. I take the pillows and the heavy wool blankets and I lock them in the attic. I leave the mattresses bare. They are cold, blue-striped rectangles of disappointment. I turn off the heat in that wing of the house. The air begins to grow sharp and thin. I walk through the living room. I have set the dining table. I use the fine china, the gold-rimmed plates I inherited from my mother. I polished the silver until I could see the cold, hard set of my jaw in the reflection of a spoon. I place the crystal wine glasses at every setting, but there is no food. There is no centerpiece. There are no chairs. I moved every chair in the house into the garage and locked the door. The house looks staged for a holiday I have no intention of attending. It looks like a museum dedicated to a woman who has finally left the building. My heart is racing, a frantic bird against the bars of my ribs. I feel a strange, dizzying sense of lightness. I look at the stacks of laminated grievances I've placed on the kitchen island. They are weighted down by my old school bell, the one I used to ring to get the attention of 1,500 teenagers. I can almost hear the sound of their SUVs pulling into the driveway. I can see Marcus's face when he realizes the pantry is a desert. I can see the wives' faces when they realize there are no beds made. I am not a victim. I am an architect. And I have just designed the most uncomfortable Christmas in the history of this family. I look at my watch. It's time. I pick up my suitcase, the one packed with silk and independence, and I walk toward the front door. I don't look back at the bare walls or the empty fridge. I am Bryn Hollingsworth, and I am finally going on vacation. I'm Bryn Hollingsworth, 56, and I spent 3 decades as the lead administrator for a multi-million-dollar school district, a job that required the tactical precision of a general and the icy nerves of a bomb squad technician. The air outside my front door is a sharp, crystalline blue. It is 2 days before Christmas. My lungs burn with the first breath of the morning. It smells of impending snow and wood smoke from the neighboring cabins. I drag my oversized suitcase across the threshold of my home. The wheels rattle against the hand-scraped hardwood floors. To me, it sounds like a drum roll. I step out onto the porch and turn back to face the house. These heavy oak doors have stood as the gatekeeper to my life for 30 years. I slide the brass key into the lock. I turn it until I hear the heavy, metallic thwack of the bolt sliding home. It is a finality I have craved for months. It is the sound of a door closing on a version of myself that no longer exists. I reach for the security keypad mounted beside the frame. My fingers are steady. I do not tremble. I punch in the code with a rhythmic, practiced speed. I navigate the menu until I find the setting I want. Vacation mode. I press enter. The red light on the sensor blinks once, twice, and then glows with a steady, crimson malevolence. The house is now a vault. It is a museum of my past labor. It contains the bare mattresses, the empty fridge, the bottle of champagne, and the laminated ledger of every sacrifice I ever made that went unthanked. It is a trap set for the people who thought my time was a commodity they could trade without my consent. I walk down the salt-dusted stone steps to the waiting black car idling at the end of my driveway. The exhaust plumes curl into the gray sky like ghostly fingers reaching for the trees. The driver steps out, his breath huffing in white clouds. He reaches for my bag. For 30 years, I would have insisted on carrying it myself. I would have worried about being a burden. Not today. I let him take the weight. I watch him hoist the suitcase into the trunk. I slide into the back seat of the vehicle. The door closes with a muffled, expensive thud that cuts off the sound of the mountain wind. The interior smells of sandalwood and high-end leather. It is warm. It is quiet. It is a sanctuary. We begin to move. The tires crunch over the frozen gravel of my driveway. I reach into my leather handbag and pull out my phone. The screen is a frantic mess of notifications. Marcus is calling again. I look at his contact photo. He's smiling in the picture, standing in front of his new SUV, looking every bit the successful son I raised him to be. A son who just 48 hours ago told his brothers they could just dump all 9 of my grandchildren on me so they could have a real break. The phone vibrates in my palm, a frantic electronic heartbeat. I don't answer. I don't even feel the familiar, sickening spike of motherly guilt. I feel nothing but a cold, soaring clarity. I swipe down on the control panel. I see the icon of the little white airplane. I tap it. The signal bars at the top of the screen vanish instantly. The searching text flickers for a second before the phone goes dark and silent. The digital leash has been severed. I am no longer reachable. I am no longer a resource to be tapped. I am no longer the convenient solution to their poor planning. I slide the phone into the deepest pocket of my bag and zip it shut. The silence in the car rushes in to fill the space, thick and heavy like a warm wool blanket. It is the most beautiful thing I have ever heard. I lean my head back against the headrest and look out the tinted window. We are winding down the mountain road now. My house is getting smaller in the rearview mirror. From this distance, the wreaths I spent hours hanging on the windows look like tiny green targets. I watch the roofline disappear behind a stand of frosted pines. I think of the scene that will unfold in 48 hours. I imagine the 3 SUVs pulling into that driveway. I see Marcus, David, and Sam stepping out, bracing themselves for the cold, expecting the door to fly open. They expect the smell of cinnamon and roasting turkey. They expect a grandmother with open arms and a heart ready to be trampled. Instead, they will find the silence I am currently enjoying. They will find the cold mattresses. They will find the school bell and the lists. A strange, bubbling sensation rises in my chest. It takes me a moment to realize what it is. It's a laugh. It starts low in my throat and stays there, a secret, jagged joy. I am a ghost in my own life. I am a shadow moving toward a first-class seat and a glass of Bollinger champagne. I am a woman on her way to a place where no one knows my name and no one needs me to fix their mistakes. The martyr is buried back there under the mountain snow. She died the moment I overheard that phone call. The driver turns onto the main highway. The car picks up speed. The tires hum against the blacktop. I close my eyes and let the motion carry me away from the wreckage of their expectations. My heart feels lighter than it has in a decade. The weight of the world hasn't disappeared. I've simply stepped out from under it. I am Bryn Hollingsworth. I am 56 years old. And I am finally, gloriously gone. I'm Bryn Hollingsworth, 56, and after 30 years of managing the chaotic logistics of a massive school district, I have finally turned my executive precision toward the total dismantling of my own family's expectations. I lean back into the plush leather of the car seat, the steady hum of the tires against the highway acting as a rhythmic heartbeat for my new life. I close my eyes and the luxury of the cabin fades. In its place, I see my driveway. I see it with the clarity of a high-definition nightmare. The three SUVs pull in like a funeral procession for their own vacation. I can hear the crunch of the frozen gravel beneath their heavy tires. It is a jagged, violent sound. Marcus is in the lead, his black Suburban idling with a low, arrogant rumble. Behind him, David and Sam pull up, bumper to bumper, already acting as if my property is a communal parking lot. I imagine the doors swinging open. The sound of 9 children hitting the pavement is a cacophony of entitlement. I see my grandchildren, the ones I've spent every holiday serving, spilling out into the biting mountain air. They aren't wearing parkas. They are wearing light hoodies and sneakers, the kind of clothes people wear when they expect to walk 10 feet from a heated car into a heated house. The wind whips across the ridge, a sharp, invisible blade. I can almost hear the first scream. It's little Leo, Marcus's youngest. He hits a patch of black ice and goes down hard. His wail is thin and piercing, rising up toward the gray, indifferent sky. No one rushes to pick him up. His parents are too busy debating who has to carry the heaviest suitcase into Nana's. I watch Marcus in my mind. He walks toward the porch with that heavy, confident stride. He doesn't look at the house, he looks at his watch. He's calculating how quickly he can dump the kids and get back to the airport. He reaches for the ceramic flower pot shaped like an owl, the one where I've kept a spare key for 20 years. I feel a cold, electric thrill dance down my spine. His fingers grope through the frozen dirt. He finds nothing but grit and ice. I see the flash of confusion on his face. It's a small crack in his armor. He tries the mat next. He kicks it aside with his boot, his movements becoming more frantic. He reaches for the top of the door frame, his glove-less hand turning bright, angry red in the sub-zero temperature. The key is gone. I have it in my purse, a heavy piece of brass that feels like a trophy. I can almost hear the conversation through the glass. "She's just at the store," Marcus will say, his voice tight with the first seeds of irritation. "She probably forgot the rolls or the butter." They'll huddle back in their cars. They'll keep the engines running, burning through gas as the heaters struggle against the plummeting mountain temperature. 10 minutes pass. 20. The snow begins to fall in earnest now, fat, wet flakes that blur the world into a white static. Inside those cars, the atmosphere is curdling. 9 children trapped in leather seats are a recipe for a riot. I can see the wives, Sarah and Julie and Megan, checking their phones. They are looking at the clock. Their cruise ship departs in 6 hours. The port is a 3-hour drive away, provided the mountain passes aren't closed by the storm I know is coming. I feel a strange, detached sense of peace. My heart isn't racing with guilt. It is steady, a drum keeping time with their mounting panic. An hour in, the grocery store theory will die a quiet death. Marcus will return to the porch. This time he won't just look for a key. He will pound on the oak door. The sound will be a dull, hollow thud that echoes through the empty rooms I left behind. He'll put his face against the sidelight window, cupping his hands to see inside. He'll see the dark hallway. He'll see the silence. If he looks hard enough, he'll see the stack of laminated papers on the kitchen island, weighted down by my old school bell. He'll see the vacation mode light on the security panel glowing like a demonic eye. The realization will hit him like a physical blow. The free daycare is closed. The woman who was supposed to be the safety net has cut the ropes. I imagine the frantic vibration of their phones as they try to call me. In my bag, my own phone is a dead, dark brick. I am unreachable. I am a ghost. I am a woman who has finally learned the power of the word no. The panic will turn into a frenzy. I see them arguing in the driveway, their voices lost to the wind. They have 9 children, a mountain of luggage, and a cruise ship that is slowly becoming a fantasy. They have no plan B because they assumed my life was their plan B. I feel a laugh bubbling up, hot and sharp. I don't suppress it. It fills the quiet of my luxury car, a sound of pure, unadulterated liberation. The SUVs are still there in my mind, idling in the white-out conditions. The kids are crying because they're hungry and cold. The sons are screaming into their phones at a voicemail that will never answer. The wives are realizing that their tropical vacation is dying in a snowdrift on a mountain they never respected. I am miles away, moving toward a terminal where the only person I have to take care of is myself. I am Bryn Hollingsworth, and for the first time in my life, I am the one who walked away. I am the one who left them in the cold, and the air has never felt so sweet. I'm Bryn Hollingsworth, 56, and after 30 years of managing the chaotic logistics of a massive school district, I have finally turned my executive precision toward the total dismantling of my own family's expectations. I wrap my cashmere shawl tighter around my shoulders, the wool soft against my skin. The air here in the Swiss Alps is thin and sharp, tasting like ancient ice and expensive wood smoke. I am sitting on a heated stone balcony that juts out over a valley of twinkling fairy tale lights. It is breathtaking. It is silent. It is exactly what I paid for with the money I didn't spend on a 20-pound turkey and enough gingerbread to feed a small army. I pick up my tablet from the small glass table. For 4 days, I have lived in a beautiful, silent vacuum. I have hiked through pine forests and soaked in mineral baths. I have been a person, not a provider. But tonight, I want to see the wreckage. I want to look at the life I set on fire. I tap the screen. The device vibrates so violently against my palm it feels like it might shatter. The notifications cascade down the screen like a digital landslide. The red bubbles are everywhere, screaming for my attention. 142 missed calls from Marcus, 89 from David, 64 from Sam. My inbox is a graveyard of frantic subjects' lines. Where are you? Mom, pick up now, emergency, and finally, how could you do this to the kids? I don't open the emails, I don't need to. I can hear their voices in my head, the tone shifting from entitled confusion to jagged, desperate rage. I scroll past the texts, hundreds of them, until I find the icon I'm looking for. I open the Ring camera app for my house back in the mountains. The footage loads with a soft chime. It is grainy and blue-tinted, a stark contrast to the golden warmth of my balcony in Switzerland. Back home, a blizzard is screaming across the ridge. My driveway is buried under 2 feet of unforgiving white powder. I see the 3 SUVs. They look like trapped metallic beasts, their headlights cutting weak, yellow tunnels through the swirling snow. I hit the live button. Marcus is standing on my front porch. His face is inches from the camera, and it is a mask of pure, unadulterated fury. His skin is a deep, bruised purple from the cold and the temper. He is screaming at the doorbell. I can't hear the words, but I see the veins cording in his neck. He pounds his fist against the solid oak of my front door, the impact vibration making the camera feed stutter. Behind him, David and Sam are huddled near the railing. They look small. They look like the children they never bothered to outgrow. They are holding two of the toddlers, wrapping them in their own coats because, of course, they didn't pack enough winter gear for a mountain Christmas. They expected to walk from the car into my heated living room. 9 children, I count them as they move like dark shadows in the driveway. They are hungry. They are exhausted. They are crying. I see the wives, Sarah, Julie, and Megan, standing by the open doors of the Suburbans, their arms crossed, their body language radiating a toxic mix of panic and blame. They are realizing that the cruise ship is gone. They are realizing that there is no Nana to sweep in and fix the fact that they didn't book a hotel or check the weather. They are realizing that I am not a piece of furniture they can just move around to suit their floor plan. I feel a strange, cold satisfaction blooming in my chest. It's like a fever that has been burning for 30 years has finally broken. The motherly guilt I expected to feel, the sick, twisting knot in my stomach, is nowhere to be found. In its place is a soaring, glacial clarity. They look utterly lost. Without me to dictate the schedule, to provide the food, to manage the moods, and to absorb the stress, they are falling apart. They are 3 grown men with 3 wives and 9 children, and they can't figure out how to survive a snowstorm because they never had to. I was the infrastructure. I was the safety net. I watch Marcus kick the base of the door. He's looking at his phone, probably redialing my number for the 1,000th time. He looks at the vacation mode light on the security panel, the one I made sure was glowing bright red. I see the moment the reality sinks in. He stops screaming. He sags against the doorframe, his shoulders dropping. He looks at his brothers, and I see him mouth the word closed. The free daycare is closed. The woman they overheard planning to dump 9 kids on is gone. I feel a laugh bubble up in my throat, hot and sharp. I don't suppress it. It rings out across the Alpine Valley, a sound of pure, jagged liberation. I am miles away, sitting in the lap of luxury while they are discovering exactly what my service was worth. I tap the screen and the image of my frozen driveway vanishes into blackness. I set the tablet face down on the table. I pick up my wine glass. The Chablis is crisp and bone dry. I take a slow sip, letting the cold liquid linger on my tongue. Below me, the valley lights twinkle, indifferent to the drama 3,000 miles away. I am Bryn Hollingsworth. I am 56 years old. And as I watch the snow begin to fall softly over the peaks of the Alps, I realize I have never felt more at home. The silence isn't lonely. It's a trophy. And for the first time in my life, I don't have to share it with anyone. I'm Bryn Hollingsworth, 56, and after 30 years of managing the chaotic logistics of a massive school district, I have finally turned my executive precision toward the total dismantling of my own family's expectations. I sit on the edge of a plush, velvet-covered chaise lounge in my suite. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the Swiss Alps are bathed in a violet twilight, the jagged peaks cutting into a sky the color of a bruised plum. The silence in this room is heavy, expensive, and utterly delicious. I lift a crystal flute to my lips. The champagne is vintage, bone dry, and ice cold. I feel the tiny, aggressive bubbles dancing on my tongue, a sharp prickle of luxury that makes my eyes water slightly. I take a slow, deliberate sip, letting the crisp liquid slide down my throat. It tastes like victory. It tastes like the end of a long, thankless war. My phone sits on the small marble table next to me. It is a glowing rectangle of chaos. Even from a distance, I can see the notifications lighting up the screen in a rhythmic, frantic pulse. It looks like a heartbeat. A panicked, dying heartbeat. I know what's on that screen. I know the vitriol, the pleading, and the sheer, unadulterated shock that is currently vibrating through the digital ether. My sons are realizing that the world doesn't turn on their whims. They are discovering that the sun doesn't rise just to light their path. I reach out. My fingers are steady. There is no tremor in my hand, no hesitation in my heart. For decades, my hands shook with the weight of everyone else's needs. I carried their schedules, their laundry, their failures, and their children. I was the silent engine that kept the Hollingsworth machine running while they took all the credit for the mileage. Not anymore. I pick up the device. The glass is warm from the constant stream of incoming data. I bypass the lock screen, ignoring the 180 missed calls. I don't care about the voicemails. I don't care about the frantic texts from Sarah or Megan or Julie, wives who are now realizing their husbands are useless in a crisis because I never forced them to be anything else. I open the family group chat. The last message was from Marcus, sent 20 minutes ago. Mom, we are literally freezing. The kids are losing it. Open the goddamn door. I feel a cold, sharp laugh bubble up in my chest. I don't suppress it. It rings out in the quiet suite, a sound of pure, jagged liberation. I begin to type. My thumbs move with the grace of a woman who has spent 30 years drafting memos, schedules, and emergency protocols. Every word is a brick in the wall I am finally finishing. Merry Christmas, boys, I write. My heart is a steady, rhythmic drum. I realized I spent 30 years working for a school and 30 years working for you, so I've decided to retire from motherhood too. I pause. I look out at the mountains. The snow is falling there too, but here it is a decoration, not a trap. The house is locked. I continue, my breath hitching with a sudden, intoxicating sense of power. The cruise is missed and the lesson is free. Don't bother calling the police. I've already notified them that I am safe, traveling, and not to be disturbed. Your inheritance just paid for my first-class ticket and this suite. Figure it out. I hit send. The little blue bubble zips away. I watch as the read receipts begin to pop up, one by one. Marcus, David, Sam. I imagine them standing in that snowy driveway, their breath hitching in the freezing air, staring at their screens as the reality of their situation finally, violently sinks in. The safety net hasn't just been moved. It has been burned. I don't wait for the reply. I don't want to see the explosion. I press the power button and watch the screen go black. The reflection of my own face stares back at me in the dark glass. I look younger. The lines around my eyes, the ones carved by years of worrying about school board meetings and grocery lists for 9 grandchildren, seem softer. I look like a woman who finally remembered her own name. I set the phone face down on the marble. It is a dead object now. It has no power over me. I stand up, the silk of my robe whispering against my legs. My body feels light, almost buoyant. The chronic ache in my lower back, the one I've carried since Marcus was a toddler, is gone. I walk toward the door of my private spa room. The air in there is thick with the scent of eucalyptus and expensive oils. A massage table is draped in white linens, waiting for me. A woman with soft hands and a quiet voice will spend the next 2 hours focusing entirely on my well-being. She will not ask me for a snack. She will not ask me to change a diaper. She will not assume my time belongs to her. I stop at the threshold and look back at the dark phone on the table. Thousands of miles away, there is a storm. There are 3 SUVs idling in a driveway that will never open. There are 9 children who are learning that Nana is not a synonym for servant. There are 3 sons who are finally being forced to grow up. I feel a surge of something so fierce and bright it almost hurts. It's not spite. It's not even revenge, though it tastes like it. It is existence. For the first time in 56 years, I am not a mother, a grandmother, or a director. I am just Bryn. I step into the spa, closing the heavy oak door behind me. I leave the chaos of their making behind. a world of noise and entitlement that I no longer inhabit. I lay down on the table, close my eyes, and let the first touch of the massage oil hit my skin. I have never felt more alive.